morning. Wanted to make sure I got my Facebook Live on there. It looks like we're going. I've got a little bit of a lag on, I don't know if it's Facebook that's lagging or Zoom, but we're going to go ahead and get started here. So I guess let me make sure you guys can hear me. Thumbs up or wave at me that you can hear me. Yep. Okay. Let me unmute Deborah real quick. Deborah, am I lagging at all?
No, not that I can tell. Say, okay. Ask me again.
That's fine. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Okay. So you guys are going to be muted. This is being recorded, so if you have to pop off, you can find this recording on Facebook or it'll be on our YouTube channel. But we're going to go ahead and get started here today. So today's training is going to be very specific on, okay, I've got a contract and it's ratified. How do I get it to the office? How do I submit the new commissions? So when you hear commissions, that's what you're going to be doing instead of the green sheet. And again, we have not set a specific date on when this transition is happening from .loop to DocuSign and for the compliance piece of it. But we are opening this up to those who are willing and want to learn the new system and want to start integrating it into their day-to-day business. This is open and live for you guys to use, but we do not have an actual date on this being, it's happening on this date. So just want to throw that out there. But let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to get logged in to Command because that's where you're always going to start. You're always going to start in Command, and Cody is letting us use her account today. So thank you, Cody. We're going to get signed in here. While this is signing in, remember, as far as, why are we putting everything in here instead of going straight to DocuSign first? You always want to start in Command. Okay, so we're never going to go to DocuSign first to start anything. We're going to let Command do that piece for us. So we're going to make sure we always add our contacts. We're going to add our seller or our buyer, and then we're going to go create that opportunity. Okay, so those two steps have to be completed before we even go to DocuSign. So I've already added my contact for the person I'm helping. So today we're going to pretend we are helping Mickey Mouse. He is our buyer, and he has bought a house. So just always make sure you add that contact first because that's going to be your #1 step before we can do anything. Hopefully they're already in your contact section because honestly, you should be putting your leads, your appointments, everything should be going into your database, not just people that you're currently working with. So make sure you put that contact in there first. And also guys, if you have questions, you guys all have access to the chat feature in this Zoom. And then also if you're watching on Facebook Live, just put your comments down there, your questions, and we will we'll talk about that towards the very end, okay? And I apologize on the lag. I'm not sure, I'm hardwired in, so I'm not sure why we're getting a lag up here. So again, make sure your contact is your first step. You're always going to make sure you complete. So I already have my contact in here. So my next step is to go into the opportunities. So we're going to go into the opportunities. So your opportunities hold your sales pipeline. So it's going to hold any transactional pieces or even non-transactional. So non-transactional would be, okay, I'm tracking my leads, I'm tracking my appointments, not just my actives and are under contracts and closed. So think of it as a sales pipeline from start to finish, not just what you're currently working on. Okay. I'll let that load for us. So again, up here you're seeing, okay, these are all my listings I'm working with, which means that's your seller. Okay. And then we've got our buyers. So, and again, that's leads, appointments, anything active, not just what we have active. Okay. Try to let that load for us. All right. So there is our sales pipeline. Okay. If you want more information on this sales pipeline, make sure you plug into our YouTube channel. That YouTube channel has all the in-depth tutorials of this section and lots of other sections inside Command, but we're not going to spend a lot of time on dissecting the sales pipeline today. Okay, so I've added my contact. My next step is to create an opportunity. Okay, this is what's going to start the process to have DocuSign create the room for us. That way we can start preparing the paperwork, and then Command is going to tell us, okay, this is what you need for compliance. So I'm going to click Create Opportunity. and the opportunity card is going to populate for us. Market Center is already autofilled for you. If you're on a team, that will autofill as well. If you're not on a team, that will just be blank. Opportunity type, for today's example, we are saying that we are working with a buyer. So I need to change listing to buyer. Owner is the owner of this command account, not the owner of the home. Client. So this is why it's important to make sure you add that contact first, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to put them in here at this time. So we're going to go ahead and add our buyer. Mickey Mouse is our buyer. Excuse me. All right, opportunity name. Okay, so let's kind of talk about this real quick, because I know sometimes, depending on where you're at in the transaction, now obviously today we know that Mickey Mouse is already ready to buy something. So we know that we're going to put an offer on something. But let's say you put an opportunity in here that's just a lead. So they don't know what they're buying. Or you put an appointment in here. You put an appointment opportunity in here and you don't know what they're buying. Obviously, you're not going to have a property address. So you can leave it just like this. But once eventually they do decide which property they want, you're just going to have to make a mental note. Oh yeah, I need to go change that name for compliance. Okay, so I'm going to have to go make sure once they choose which property they are going with, we're going to have to come back to change the name so that way it reflects properly for when we go into the compliance. But for today, we know what they're buying for as our example. So I'm going to change the name to the property address. And you can add their name on there too if you want. I apologize for the lag. Okay, so there is our opportunity name with the property address in there. And then if you guys are familiar with putting in the last name of the client, that's fine. We just always need to make sure the property address is at the beginning for compliance. Custom tags, I'm not going to put any custom tags, but custom tags for you guys would be investors, land, leasing, whatever that may be. You can tag it however you want to. Estimated close date, that again, that's just an estimation. So if you want to put an estimated close date in there, you can. Time frame would be if you're working with a lead. So what is their time frame of trying to find a home or trying to close on a home? What's their budget? And then commission rate. So this isn't the full commission rate. This is only your commission rate. Okay. And then we get down to opportunity phase and stage. So this is why I said we're not just putting in our actives. We want you to put your leads and appointments in here so you can track them through the entire process. So within phase, you have 3 different phases. You have a cultivate, appointment, and active. Okay, those are the 3 different phases you get to choose on here. For today, we're going to just say it's active. We already know which property they want. After I choose the phase, I have to choose the stage. So within the active phase, you have stages. So what type of stage are they in the active phase? So are they searching? Are you showing? Or are you already under the negotiation, so you've chosen something? We're going to go ahead and select negotiations. Ignore legacy. That's not a selection we will be dealing with. We're going to say that's negotiations. And then assignees. This is only particular to teams. So if you're not on a team, just ignore this section. All right, I filled out everything that was required and I'm ready to have command create this opportunity for me. So we're going to click create. Let that create for us. As that's loading, so it's directly going to take us straight into this opportunity. So all these tabs belong to this opportunity. So I've got our details, we've got a buyer profile. If you want a more in-depth tutorial on details and buyer profile, make sure you go watch my sales pipeline video on that, okay? But what I'm interested in is I want to prepare my documents so I can get them into the office for compliance. So I'm going to come into the document section. And within the document section, there's a few things we need to do before we let DocuSign create our e-signature space for us, okay? So first thing I want to make sure I do is pay attention to these 3 folders over here. Consultation, you guys, we're not going to be using this folder. Eventually, hopefully, we can take that off so you don't have to mess with it. But I want you to pay attention to the under contract folder because that's the folder you're going to be working in. So your under contract folder is going to hold all the required documents that we need as an office for compliance. Now, some of these are conditional. So if you don't have an HOA, then obviously don't include that. But these are all the required documents, okay? If you have any additional supplementals, you can always add those in there as well. But these are just your reminders of, hey, this is everything you need for compliance. Now, this isn't a form. I can't click on this and make it open up. This is just a placeholder. So it's just a name. It's just a reminder. This form belongs with this placeholder. Okay, that's why they all have add a file buttons next to each placeholder. And we'll get into that here in a second. Okay. So still, I have not went to DocuSign yet. I've went into Command. I've added my client. I've created the opportunity. I've come into my document section to see what do I need for compliance. Now I'm ready to let DocuSign create my room. Okay, so when you think of room, we've talked about this. When you think of room, think of loop. Prior to all this, you would go to .loop, you would create a loop. Now with DocuSign, you're going to think of room. So room is the same thing as a loop. A room is going to hold all the details for that transaction. It's going to hold all the documents for that transaction, and it's going to just hold all the paperwork. Okay. So over here on the right-hand side, you guys all have a button. Now, not everybody will probably look the same depending on if you have connected .loop and DocuSign. So if you've only connected DocuSign, you're not going to have any issues. If you've connected both, you're going to have this little arrow. You're going to have to make sure if you're wanting to use DocuSign, you're going to have to choose DocuSign. So if I select that arrow, it's going to ask me, okay, do you want DocuSign or .loop? Well, I want to use DocuSign. Once you choose one of these, there's no going back. So if I accidentally click .loop, I'm stuck with .loop. I would have to go create a new opportunity to be able to get into DocuSign. So the reason that we let Command create the rooms for us is that that's what connects them. That's what syncs them together. That's what allows us to be able to easily pull in documents into this opportunity. If I didn't do it this way, so if I just came into Command, I created the contact, created the opportunity, but then I went off to DocuSign and didn't let Command create the room for me, you wouldn't have that sync feature. So what you would have to do is download each document to your computer, come back to Command, and then start uploading. So this just makes it a lot easier for you guys. We let Command create the room for us, and then it's easier to pull in those documents for compliance, okay? So I'm gonna select DocuSign as my preferred e-signature platform, and it's gonna load for us. Okay, so before we sync this transaction, it is recognizing that we do have some clients connected to this opportunity. So buyer agent 1, that's just, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't read that. That says buyer, not seller. Or sorry, I'm looking at the buyer, not the agent. This is talking about the agent. So because Cody is on a team, so if you're on a team, you're going to see this. If you're not on a team, you're not going to see this. But because Cody's on a team, it's asking, okay, who is buyer agent 1? We're just going to select Cody, and we're just going to confirm and sync. So if you're not on a team, you guys, you're not going to see that feature. That is just for teams, rainmakers, and their agents. So it's refreshing for us, and you're noticing, okay, we're going into DocuSign. So now it's logging us into DocuSign. This is a really cool feature that I like. So while that's loading, you still have your Command tab up here. So that is where I was, okay? So I can still get back to that if I need to get back to it. It just opened a new tab, and there is DocuSign. So if you have not logged in, it's gonna prompt you to log in. So we're gonna log in real quick. I apologize for the lag. Get this password pulled up. Click continue. While this is loading, you guys, if this is your first plug-in to DocuSign training, my previous videos will be very helpful. The very first one was how do I set up my DocuSign account and get that link to Command. So that's a big one that you'll need to watch. The one after that we did was how do I submit a listing? What are the steps to that? So the listing and contract submission is a lot of the same. So today that should cover a lot of it. We're not going to go full into depth over the documents because we talked about that last week. But today I really wanted to show you some more in-depth as far as how do I submit my commissions to the office. So that's what we'll be looking at today. But if you're just now plugging in, make sure you plug into my previous 2 trainings, and that's going to explain a lot if you're feeling lost. Okay, so again, remember, DocuSign started a new tab when I clicked Start a Transaction, so I can still get into Command if I need to. But in my DocuSign tab, you guys, it created the room for me. So this looks very similar to .loop. So right now we're inside a room. So we're inside 123 Main Street. So this is the room that's going to hold all the documents for this transaction. So you can see there is my room name. Okay, so it just copied what was in Command. I didn't have to go create the room name. It immediately took me into the document section, but that's not where I want to start because I need to do some prep work before I start adding documents from the template section. So my first step is always going to be go into details, fill out as much information as you can, okay? Because that's what's going to help autofill onto all the documents. So, and with, on the listing side, you're obviously not going to have as much autofill, but for something like this, you can fill out as much as you can, okay? That's only going to help when you go to autofill all those documents, okay? Step number 2, before I go pull in my documents, I want to go add my people. So those are the people that are going to be signing. This is very, very important because if you miss this step, when you go in to start creating those forms and deciding who is signing what on where, completing this step is really going to help you because DocuSign is smart enough to know, okay, you added Mickey Mouse as your buyer. You said he's the buyer. So anywhere on this document where it says buyer, we're going to place Mickey Mouse into that spot. So it does a lot of the prep work for you. So to add that person, we just click the plus sign and invite. It's going to ask for minimal information. So their email, their first name, last name. Mickey Mouse and the transaction side. This is transaction side and role is very important. So transaction side, Mickey is on the buy side. So we're telling DocuSign he's the buyer, and then on role, he is a client. So we're just telling DocuSign that Mickey Mouse is our buyer, and we're going to invite. So when you click invite, it is Mickey Mouse is going to get a notification via email just saying, just a little brief, little summary from you saying this is our e-signature platform and I will be sending you documents via DocuSign. I'll get you an example of what that's going to look like so that way you know what they're getting when you invite them to a room. So within the people section, you're going to have the admin. So that is just the office person, which let me reference that here in a second. So office contact, agent contact, and then there is your buyer. There's your buyer contact. So an office contact will be on each room. However, you guys, we're not going to be communicating with you through DocuSign. That's not how we're intending this to go moving forward. I know in .loop, that's how we talk to you guys. That's how we tell you if something's missing. But with DocuSign, you're only using DocuSign as your e-signature platform. That's all it's used for. It's not used for compliance. So even though you do have an admin contact in there, we're not going to be communicating with you through DocuSign. So just pretend it like it's not there. Because if you try to message that or send us anything via that contact, that's just not how we're doing it within the office. So if you want more information on that, I can explain it a little bit more in depth if you're still confused, but just try to ignore this contact card because that's not how we're going to be communicating with you through DocuSign. So how do we communicate with you, if you're wondering? All communication is going to be through command, and we'll get to that here in a second once I show you how we pull our documents in. So I filled out my details. I've added my people. Now I'm ready to go pull in those documents. So I'm going to come into documents. Right now I don't have any documents in my room, so I'm ready to add them. So if I come up to the plus sign, I have some options. So you can always pull from your computer. There are my DocuSign forms. And then you also have zip form, Box, Dropbox, and Google Drive. So you have a lot of options in here to pull from. But let's say you're just needing templates. I need to actually prepare my paperwork. I need to prepare my templates. I'm going to select DocuSign Forms. It'll take a second to pop up, but this is the box that you're always going to see. Now you can pull from the library, but it's going to be easier if you want our template packets. This is what you need to do. So I don't want to pull from the library. I want to pull from the groups. So, excuse me. These are the groups that we have prepared as an office for you that are template packets. So that way you can easily pull in the packets and you're not having to go in and select all the documents you need. So this is comparable to what you have already in Dotloop as far as your packets. So which group do I want? All right, this is what you guys are used to seeing. So we're just going to say that this is an FHA. So it's going to pull in all the required documents for an FHA. I'm going to select that. It's preparing, not preparing, but it's pulling in that packet. I'm going to select all the documents and I'm going to click add. All right, it's going to add all those documents in there for me. Let that load. You guys make sure if you have any questions, put it into the chat box and then make sure you post on the Facebook Live and we'll get to that once we wrap up this training. Hopefully your questions are getting answered as we go through this though. We'll let that load for us. All right. All right, as that's loading for us, let me just kind of explain these buttons up here, because these are going to be very important and something we're kind of not used to. So obviously you're always going to have your detail section. I took you in there. You got your people section. I showed you how you add your people. But what are these other three buttons right here? So envelopes, messages, and history. So right now we're in the documents, but these documents are just, they're blank documents. There's nothing on them, right? So once a document has been filled out and you go in to prep the signatures for that document, once that document has been sent off, that document that's been filled out, prepped for signatures, that document gets moved to the envelope section. So when you think envelope, think of, okay, I filled out this contract, I sent it, or I highlighted where my buyers are going to sign and I mailed it off. I mailed it off to them for them to sign. Now we're pretending because we're not actually mailing it. We're DocuSigning it to them. But when you think of envelope, that's how I want you to think about it. You sent these documents off, so it moved them into the envelope section, and that's where they now live. Okay. So that's what the envelope button, that's what it's going to hold. That's what it means. And then messages is any messages between you and your client, not with the staff. We will not be talking to you through DocuSign. And then you have your history button. So that's a timeline of the DocuSign room itself. Okay. So right now we're in documents and these documents are just blank. We haven't applied anything to these documents. Now you guys, let me just touch on this real quick for anybody that is going to be trying to use this. The only documents that we do not have in our templates yet are our personal KWRA forms. So if you do try to use this, please reach out to me so I can help you on those forms. So you're going to be missing wire fraud. You're going to be missing, can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's another KWRA form. And you're going to be missing the COVID form. Okay. So if you try to do this, you will have some documents that you don't have access to. We sent those in a month ago. And we're still waiting on DocuSign to add those, but I'm staying on top of it. Hopefully they're in there soon. Just want to give you an update on that. We don't have our KWRA forms loaded in there yet. So how do we fill out a document and how do we send it off to our clients? So I'm just going to pick let's just pick the COVID amendment to the contract. Okay. So whenever I'm opening these up, you're going to notice that I'm only filling them out. I'm not selecting who is signing where. I'm just prepping this document before I start applying signatures. Okay, so I'm gonna open this document and you can open all at once, but for today's purposes, I just opened one. We'll let this load for us. Now again, if you filled out everything on the details section, anything you put on the details section that is applicable to this would have already been filled in, okay? But if you didn't, you can still come in here, fill in all the boxes that you need. Now it did catch who is the seller name, okay? Or sorry, who's the buyer? We're a buyer today. So it did put my buyer name in there. If I scroll down, so you're just gonna fill in everything that needs to be filled in, okay? Now you're gonna notice down here at the very bottom, now there's no buyer signatures. There's nothing for me to apply. We're not there yet. We're just prepping this document. We're prepping it before we get it ready to send off for signatures. So I'm gonna fill it out as I'm gonna just kind of put some minimal information in here so we have something on here. Okay, so we'll just leave the date. So once I'm done filling out this paper, I'm gonna save and close out of it, because I've put everything in there I needed, and I'm ready to go prepare signatures for it now. So now how do we do that? So I filled out everything that needed to be filled out on it, and I'm going to select it. When you start selecting documents, you get this box right here that gives you all these new options. So I've got a copy, move, email, DocuSign, download, archive, and unarchive, okay? So for adding signatures, this is how you're going to do that. So I've selected the document I want. This box popped up, and I'm going to always select the DocuSign little pin. Okay, so that's what's going to prompt the system to say, okay, you're ready to start adding signatures. Let's move into that section. So I'm going to select DocuSign. It's going to bring me into the envelope section. Okay. All right, so we've had a few agents kind of give me some feedback on this. So this is going to be very important. So as you start sending off documents back and forth, this envelope name is going to be very important, because if you don't change that name within that envelope section, everything's going to look the same. You're not going to know which envelope holds what documents. Okay, so it's going to be very important to make sure you change that envelope name. So I'm going to change it to, this is the COVID contract agreement, because that's all I'm sending. Okay, if you were sending the whole packet, you could call it, you know, offer packet or whatever. Or if you were sending just the agreement and the wire fraud, call it COVID contract agreement and wire fraud. But if you don't rename those in that envelope section, you're not going to know what contains what, because you didn't rename it. Okay, so you want to always make sure to change that envelope name to what's in it, what is inside that envelope. So I changed the name. There is my document. Okay, so it's putting it in that envelope for me. Now I need to add, okay, who's receiving this document? Who is receiving this envelope? So I'm going to click add recipient. This is what is going to help you guys so much, is this pre-tagged roles. Okay, as long as you use this, this is going to really help you guys. It's going to help you guys allow DocuSign to help you, because DocuSign is going to do all that work for, okay, where is everybody signing? It's going to place everything where it's supposed to go nicely and efficiently. So because I've already added Mickey Mouse into my contacts, and I told DocuSign this is my buyer, it already knows that. So I'm going to click pre-tag roles. Let that autofill for us. Okay. Now it is catching that on this particular document, there's a seller section. Obviously, we're not going to select those. I just need buyer one. I'm only working with one buyer. That's all I need to tell. That's all I'm needing to tell DocuSign. Okay, it's telling me, okay, this is the document you're working with. Who is the recipient? Okay, so we've already added Mickey Mouse, but now I need to add Mickey Mouse to this document. So I'm going to come down here to available recipients. It's going to give me all the different recipients, and there is Mickey Mouse. So I've added Mickey Mouse. And we're going to add the selected contact. Okay, so Mickey Mouse has been added. Now the privileges needs to sign. These are the other privileges, so needs to view. So if they don't need to sign anything, you can change that. You can even receive a copy. So if you need to add somebody else that needs to get a copy, or just, sorry, they need to get a copy, you can select that option. But we're just going to leave it on needs to sign. Your more button, if you need to add a private message or add access authentication, you can do that. I'm going to try to get more information on this. I don't know why or when you would need to use this, so I'll find out. Okay, now we get down to the actual, what goes on that envelope. So what are they going to get when I send it to them? So email subject line, if you want to add something. So right now it just says, please DocuSign. If you want to add COVID contract, what is this called? COVID contract amendment. I can spell today. And then an email message. So not required, but if you want to throw a little message in there, that's just what they'll get in their email. Please call with questions. Okay. So I filled everything out. So guys, we're just telling the system, we're preparing that envelope. So we put the contact name on that envelope. We told it, you know, this contact is the buyer. We've told DocuSign, okay, this is what I'm going to name the envelope. We told DocuSign this is the email subject line for when it sends out. Now we're ready to let DocuSign do its thing. Okay, so I'm going to click next. Now it's going to bring me into the document where it's going to plop everything where it needs to go. Okay, this is the part I really, really like because it's doing all the work for you. I'll let that load. Okay, while that's loading, don't forget if you have any questions, pop it into the chat box. We're kind of getting towards the end, so we probably got about 15 or 20 more minutes of training before we go to questions. So make sure if you have any questions, put it into that chat box and post in the Facebook Live comment section. Let that load for us. Okay. Well, where are we going? Okay. Apologize for the lag, you guys. Not sure what's going on today, but just bear with me. Okay. Don't let this page overwhelm you. Because we're working with the template, you guys don't have to come over here and start adding things. We're just working with the template. Okay. So everything that you would have already filled in is going to be here. So on that very first step where we opened it up, I added the date in there. Anything you added is already going to be on this page. Okay. So the cool thing about DocuSign, because I selected pre-tagged roles, I told DocuSign this is my buyer. It already filled in where Mickey Mouse is going to sign. So over here on the left-hand side, you actually, this is something new. This is something that you guys aren't going to be very familiar with because Dotloop doesn't do it like this. So you have different views, okay? So right now, if I select that drop down, I have Mickey Mouse, but let's say that you had two buyers on there. Okay, Mickey Mouse is buyer number one, and let's say Minnie Mouse was buyer number two. Mickey Mouse would have the yellow color and Minnie Mouse would have like a green or blue color, depending on whatever DocuSign assigned it. Every person that signs a document is going to be a different color. So when I scroll down here to Mickey Mouse, oh, where's Mickey? There's Mickey Mouse. He's yellow. But if Minnie Mouse was on here as well, she would have a name. Her color would be like a blue or green. And then her little little box would be her color. So it differentiates, okay, Mickey Mouse is this color, Minnie Mouse is this color, so you know who is signing where. And you're noticing it already has Mickey Mouse's box and date right there. You're not having to do anything, okay? So let's say, okay, well, I want to preview. I want to see what Mickey is going to see whenever he gets this document, okay? So I'm going to select recipient preview. And it's going to give me a few options. It's going to say, okay, this is what it looks like if you're on a desktop. This is what it's going to look like if you're on a tablet. And this is what it's going to look like if you're on a cell phone. So if you just want to see what is Mickey Mouse going to see, you can come in here and look at this preview. We'll let that load for us real quick. Okay. So it's just going to take you through the example because obviously you're not actually signing. But if I click the start, it's going to take me down here to where I'm needing to sign as Mickey Mouse, and then it dated it. Okay, so it's just doing an example signature, so nothing crazy is happening. So if you just want to see the preview, you can do that. So I'm going to exit out of it. So I have finished, or I didn't really even have to do anything. I just verified, okay, that's where Mickey is supposed to sign and we're good to go. So now I'm ready to actually send it off. I'm going to select send. And now we prepped the envelope and now DocuSign is sending off that envelope to their email for them to sign. Let that load for us. As that's loading, you guys, when this envelope section populates on, you're going to see that now that envelope with that COVID contract in there is going to live in the envelope section. Let that load. Say this every week, but patience is a virtue, you guys. And I really learned that living with a 1-year-old. Patience is a big virtue I've had to learn. Lots of patience. Okay, so let this populate so you can see where I'm at. Okay, so we're inside the envelope section, and there is that envelope we sent off. So that envelope contains the COVID contract agreement. So I know what's inside that envelope. So right now it's telling us it's waiting for others, and I see the date that it was sent off. Okay, so that is the concept behind, okay, where are my ratified papers going to live? They're going to live in the envelopes. Documents is going to store your template. So it's what you're working on. It's what you pulled in. It's your blanks. Envelopes is going to hold anything that you sent off and had signed. Okay. So one thing to remember, I don't think I mentioned this, you don't always have to go to Command to access your DocuSign account. You just need to let Command create the room for you. Okay, once you've let Command create it, obviously you may not be ready to finish this today. You need to go into it tomorrow. After you've let Command create it, you have full access to go straight to DocuSign.com and access the room, access the paperwork, send it off for signatures. You don't have to go to Command every time. You just need to go to Command to initiate, to start the room. After that, you can go to DocuSign, straight to DocuSign.com. Okay, so let's now pretend, okay, I've sent off my paperwork, everything's been signed, and now everything is ratified. We've decided this is the house, everything's signed. We want to get it back to the office for compliance because remember, we're not checking for compliance in DocuSign. This is only for you guys to use as an e-signature platform. Okay, so I'm going to come back up to my Command tab. And I'm inside my under contract folder. And within my under contract folder, I have all the required, and some are conditionally required, documents you need for compliance. Okay. Now you have a couple options in here. You can either go next to go to each one. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. And click add a file. You can do that to every single one. But there's an even easier option. But if you want to use this as an option, you can. So let's say, okay, I've got to pull in my brokerage duties. Okay. If I click add a file, it's going to ask me, okay, are you pulling from your computer or are you pulling from DocuSign? I'm going to select DocuSign. When I select DocuSign, it's going to give me all the documents that are available inside that room. Okay. This is something you need to think about. Before you do this, if you have doubles and triples of paper of your forms inside your room and let's say you have 3 different contracts in there, you're going to have to do some cleanup before you start pulling them in here or rename them. Don't leave them all the same name. Otherwise, you're not going to know which contract needs to be pulled in here. Okay. So this one is specific for the brokerage duties. So I'm going to select the brokerage duties. I'm going to assign it. So that's an option. You can go down to each one and click add a file. But there's an easier option where you don't have to click click add a file each time. So let's attach multiple files at once. So I'm going to click attach multiple files at once. Now it's noticing that I've already added the brokerage duties, so it graded out. I'm going to select DocuSign. I want to pull from DocuSign. Now, if you want to pull from your computer, you can. You don't have to pull from DocuSign if somebody just emailed them to you. So now next to each document, it has everything already in here together. I'm not having to click add a file each time. Now it's going to tell me, okay, here is your acknowledgement and confirmation. I'm going to select it. I'm going to pull in my acknowledgement and confirmation. And I don't think I pulled that one. And actually that's connected to the contract. So we're going to go back to the contract. That's going to be page 1 of that contract. So we're going to pull in the contract. Okay, there's the earnest money. We're going to pull in earnest money, and there's our financial supplemental. Pull in that financial supplemental. So you would go down this list till you had everything pulled in, and then you could click attach. So it kind of just helps you not have to go in one by one and add those. If you go in through the attach multiple files at once, it just knocks it out for you, and then you're done. We'll let that load in there. So next to each document that I've uploaded something, now there's a PDF that is attached to it. So like I said, those are just PDFs. You can't edit them. You can't email them off. Those are just for the office for us to review. Okay, so if I click on it, it will open it up as a PDF. Okay, so it's just for you to view it. Now you can print it. You got some options up here. I can print it and I can download it. Those are your only options. We'll exit out of there. Okay. All right. So let's say that, okay, everything is in here. I'm ready for the office to get it. Because remember, we need it as soon as it's ratified. Don't sit on it, because the sooner you get it to us, the quicker we can get you your DA. So that way you have it in time for closing. So you've got everything in here. Everything has been loaded, not as bulk. So you're going to notice that we don't have like a bulk option. Everything needs to be separated. That's just with the way we're moving forward. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you need help learning how to separate your documents, reach out to me and I will give you some help if you're using DocuSign to teach you how you separate your documents out in DocuSign. Okay. All right. So we've got everything loaded. We're ready to give it to the office. So we need to submit our paperwork to the office. So you're going to click the Submit to MC button up here. Are you sure you want to give it to the office for review? Yes, I want to. So I'm going to click Submit. All right. So now your buttons are going to look a little bit different. So now instead of Submit, it's just notifying you, okay, you've submitted it. And then next to my Under Contract folder, it says Submitted. So you know that it's went to the office. So how do you know if something's missing? You're going to get a notification via command. So that means you're going to have to either make sure you have Kelly downloaded on your phone, and that's how you're going to receive your notifications, or make sure you're logging into command on a daily basis, and everybody has a bell up here next to their name. That's going to hold your notifications. I know we really like emails. I like emails too as far as notifications go. That's coming. We just don't have it right now. Okay, so if you're looking for notifications, make sure you have Kelly downloaded on your phone and you're logging into command on a daily basis. So if Dawn sends you a message, everybody has a comment box inside each opportunity. This comment box is going to store any communication between you and the office. Your sellers aren't going to see this, your buyers aren't going to see this, but it's just between you and the staff. So think of this as like if you're on Facebook. To actually direct a question to somebody, you're always going to have to use the @ symbol. So if I click the @ symbol, it's going to give me an option. Okay, who are you trying to send a message to? And let's say, okay, I'm trying to let Don Beach know something. And I'm going to select Don Beach. So now Don Beach is going to get a notification that you have sent him a message. Okay, and it's specific to this opportunity. So he's not going to have to wonder, okay, Cody sent me a message, but I don't know what property this belongs to. He's already going to know which property address this belongs to. So, hi, Tess. Okay, so whatever it is, I'm going to click Add Reply. So now Don has received a notification that Cody has sent him a message. Okay, Or, I mean, if you needed to send something to Deborah, same thing applies, okay? So anybody that specifically needs the message, you're always gonna have to make sure you use the @ symbol. If you don't, and you don't use the @ symbol, and you just write something in the comment box, it's gonna live in that comment box, but nobody got that notification, okay? It's just gonna live in the comments, okay? So if it's something that maybe you want to remind yourself for, or anything that you just feel like somebody needs to know, but it's not important information, you can put it there. It doesn't have to be directed at anybody. Click out of there though. Okay, so I've submitted it to the office. Now, how do I submit my commissions? So when you guys hear me say commissions in command, that's your new green sheet. Okay, so green sheets are going away. Obviously not right now because we haven't set a specific date, but if you're using command, how do you do your new, we don't like saying green sheet, but I don't know what else to call it. So, but think of it as commission. So now I've got to let the office know I need my DA, so I need to go submit my commissions. So you're going to notice that, well, commissions is grayed out. So what am I missing? Before that will turn on for you, you have to complete the offer section. Okay, so I'm going to click on offers. All right, so we're going to click add a new offer. And you're just giving us all the information on this property, okay? Because a lot of this is going to autofill onto your commission section. So you can leave it initial offer. You can change it if you want to, but we're going to just leave it. And I'm going to click create offer. Now, this offer section can be used multiple ways. The first way is just giving it to the office. They've selected an offer. There's no other offers on the table, and I'm just trying to get my DA. The other section of this is if you're in a multiple offer situation, you can create multiple offers on here and send them to your client. So you're going to notice there's a lot of information on here, but the office doesn't need to know that. That's why. You can come in here and create multiple offers and create them for your client and then send that to them, and it just looks really pretty. But we're not going to go over that today. I've got a training on that you guys can plug into. So we're just submitting this just for the office. So offer name, I just left it initial offer. When was the offer date? So when was the, when was it all ratified? We'll just say it was today. When is the anticipated close date? We'll just leave it on the 21st. All right, property address. So this is where you're going to select the property. So I'm just going to select something. And right now it's pulling just from Cody's listings. So I'm going to select, I need all listings. All right, we're going to select just this one right here. So we can get it in there. Okay. Get that loaded in there. And we're going to click to the next section. So right now we're in the offer details section. The next section is parties. So I'm going to click into parties. And we just need anything with an asterisk, you guys. We don't need all the information, okay? We just need what has an asterisk. Donald Duck, if I could spell. Okay, so again, anything with an asterisk is what we need as an office, okay? And again, you're thinking, why does the office need this? You may be, again, filling this out to send to your client. So if you need to tell your client they're pre-approved, they're pre-qualified, all that information, that's why that's on there. But we don't need that as an office. So who is representing the client? Okay, so we've got our name in there, and based off of the listing we pulled in, it already knew their information. Okay, so it pulled in a KW listing. Now, obviously, if you pulled in a McGraw listing, we wouldn't have their information in there, okay? So your next section is terms. So the term section is gonna have all the good details. So what is the finance amount? Okay, if they're putting down cash, so and then equals to the sales price. Are they putting down any earnest money? So obviously we wouldn't need to know that as an office, but if you're prepping this to give to a client, you're gonna wanna put in as much information as you can. Okay, so that's why termination option is on there, and then seller costs. Again, that's for your client. Okay, but we only need to know, okay, what's the sales price? And then we get into agent analysis, and this is strictly just for your client. We don't need to know any of this. But again, if you're prepping this for your client, give them the pros, the cons, and a summary of that offer, because that's what's going to be really helpful for them. Okay. I'm going to click save. That's going to be my last step. It's going to show me this offer that I've created. Okay. So that's why you have multiple, it gives you another option to add more offers, but I haven't accepted one yet. And you can see that my commissions is still grayed out. Okay. So for today's example, we're only doing one offer. So I'm going to go ahead and accept this offer. So this is the one that we're submitting to the office. So I'm going to click accept. Now commissions is loading on. You can see it's turning. Now I have access to get into commissions to submit it to the office. So I'm going to click commissions. Let that load. Okay. So a lot of this is already going to be auto-filled in here, you guys, but still kind of eyeball it to make sure you didn't miss anything. So I can edit general information. So if you need to edit the sales price, the commission rate, your total commission, if you're doing a flat fee, you can change that. It looks like it didn't pull in my contract date, but it could be because I was selecting it as today, and so it's just kind of throwing it off there. Okay, so we're going to save those changes. Now, if you're on a team, you guys, there is a way to split. I know everybody does certain splits. So if you're on a team, reach out to me personally and I'll show you how you split those up if you're on a team. All right, and then we get into the agent payment section. So right now, Cody's getting the 1 unit. There is her total gross commission, her net pay to agent, and her payment date. So that means, you know, that's when the closing's happening, and hopefully Cody gets her file approved and we can give her the DA so that way she's paid at the table. This is going to give you your breakdown. Okay. So it gives your complete breakdown. If you are donating to, oh, let me open that up. So edit agent payment. Let's open that up. So the $20 E&O is already going to be applied in there. It's supposed to be applied in there. Why is it not? So okay, it's already applied in there. Okay, let's go back in there. So edit agent payment. So agent name, that's Cody. What is her unit? Or sorry, she's getting 1 unit. What is her gross commission? So it's going to show you the royalty. It's going to show you company commission. E&O has already been applied in there. If you want to donate to KW Cares, Kids Can, Bold, you were able to do that. And then it gives you your net. Let's say you need to add something. So let's say I have a referral, or I'm charging a transaction fee, or I use Jennifer Southern. Where will that go? That's where that's going to go. So if I click add item, if I choose type, there's the bonus for the transaction fee. Jennifer will go in as a deduction. And then there's outside referral. Okay, let me just show you what outside referral is going to look like, because I know we have agents that do lots of referrals. So you're just going to do everything with an asterisk, which is basically everything in here, which is going to be very helpful for us because we waste a lot of time trying to track down W-9s, 1099s, and all that. We still recommend you always reach out for the W-9. Really 99% of the time, if we don't have it in our system, we're going to request a W-9, even if you fill all this in, because we just want to verify we're paying the right broker. Okay. So you're going to fill in everything that has an asterisk for the referral. Okay. I'm going to click out of that though. And let's say, okay, I've reviewed everything and I'm ready to submit this to the office because I want my DA for my closing. So I'm going to, oh, and you do have a space for a note section, so I can add a note if I need to. Okay. Let that load in there for my note. All right. And then my last step is to submit. It is going to ask you about donating to KW Cares. I'm going to click no, not at this time. I'm going to click apply. Let that load. Okay, so now if I hover, it doesn't let me do anything, but your commission is under review by your MCA. So that means it's been sent to us and we will pull it into our internal systems. So once you have submitted it, the same thing still kind of applies, you guys. So if you get 2 days before closing and commissions change or price changes, you still reach out to us and we will revise your DA to reflect that. But you're not going to be able to go back in here and edit it at that time. Okay, Whew, that was a mouthful, but I think we got through that pretty good. I'm going to unmute, let's see. Tia, are you on here? Oh, hold on, go up here. Tia on here, where's Tia? Oh, there she is, okay. Sorry, you were down at the bottom.
No, you're fine.
Okay, so let's start with the chat in Zoom, in Zoom. I can't talk. We're going to start with the chat in Zoom, and then we'll go to Facebook if there's any questions in Facebook.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. So Emily Fuller, when you click documents, did that automatically add what you need? I missed that. Sorry. Thanks. Emily, so you're actually going to have to tell which templates you want. So you may have missed that part, but when I go into the group section, I'm going to select if I'm doing a residential listing, if I'm doing an FHA contract. We've created those packets for you. So based off of which packet you select, it's going to pull in all the documents in that packet that you need for compliance. So we've done that piece for you. Gail Saravia, so can I save the KW specific forms from .loop onto my computer and then upload them to DocuSign for my use? Yes, Gail, I hate that you guys have to do that, but for right now, until we get DocuSign to add our forms, you will need to do that. So yes, I would recommend save the forms from KWRA. If you don't know which forms those are, reach out to me and I'll send those to you. But yes, we don't have, I think there's 3 forms in there. And then we also have that referral form that's not in there yet either. So yes, that will have to be what you do at this time.
Hey, Alicia, a follow-up to that. Once they upload it one time, will that save, or do they have to continue to upload that each time they have a new contract?
That's a good question. So no, once you've added it, you guys, so it's going to like live in your personal forms. It's there. So if you upload it one time, it's there. Deborah Dotson, I love that you can see what they see. So helpful to walk them through if it needed. Thanks, Deborah. Royce, okay. How long will signed forms be stored for? Royce, that is a good question. I don't know the answer to that question, but I'm going to save that question to find out for you guys. I would assume it's very similar to what .loop does, but I don't have that answer for you, but I will find out, okay? Sean Kennedy, since several brokerages utilize .loop, what is process for uploading PDFs to DocuSign once final agreements are reached? Great question, Sean, because I don't want you guys to have to do a double work. Remember, you're only using DocuSign for you to prepare documents and send them out. So if another broker that uses .loop sends you ratified paperwork and you don't need to do anything to it, you can put it in your DocuSign to store it, but Command is going to store it too once you upload it. So hopefully that answers your question. Because if you're not making any edits to it, there's really no reason to put it in DocuSign besides to store it. So you can upload it straight to that placeholder in your Command.
And that's where the upload single documents will come in handy instead of doing the multiple.
You put it on the manual option. Okay, Royce. So when we start a file to use in this program, do we still do .loop as well, or just this process? So let me answer that question first, Royce. So you guys, I appreciate everybody plugging in. I love that we have so many plugging into this because I do feel like this is very valuable to you guys. But let's say, you know what? I'm not ready for DocuSign. I feel like it's just going to mess up what I've got going on right now, but I really want to implement Command compliance. I'm ready for that piece. I'm just not ready to use DocuSign just yet. You guys, if I can get you to get into Command compliance, and if you want to continue to use .loop, that's an option too. The great thing about Command is that we are given options. So Command will sync to .loop and it's going to sync to DocuSign. So to answer that question, if you use .loop but you want to use Command compliance, you can do that. Okay. Again, we don't have a specific date on when these changes are all happening, but I am more than welcome to help you with that process of just showing you how .loop and Command compliance things together. So the next question, do we do the green sheet or is this now taken care of? So Royce, if you do Command compliance through Command and you do the commissions, that is taking place of that green sheet. So you don't have to do the green sheet anymore. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, Tia, do we have any questions on Facebook?
Nella Colby asked, what might be different if you have both sides? So if you have the buyer and the seller.
That's a good question. So Nella, it is going to look a little bit different. So if this is oh, I love this question because it is going to be different. So for command, you're going to notice, let me get into your opportunities. So Nella's question, what happens if you have both sides? Those are 2 opportunities for you. That's not just one opportunity. Those, you're getting a commission off that buyer and you're getting a commission off that seller. We want you to put those in as 2 different opportunities. So your seller is going to be put in as an opportunity, and then your buyer is going to be put into an opportunity. Now, obviously, that means that 2 rooms are going to be created. But so I don't know. I'll get more information on that, Nella, as far as can we link rooms together or how does that work? But I know as far as command goes, we want those to be separated into 2 different opportunities when you have both sides.
Julia asked, when the buyer first signs into DocuSign, will they need to create their own username and password, or does DocuSign do that for them?
Okay, so the way DocuSign works, and it's very similar to .loop, it's never going to require them to create an account. What happens is they'll sign, and then .loop and DocuSign will like pop up a box that says, okay, create your free account. They don't have to create an account. They can sign via DocuSign or .loop, and that's where we run into issues with agents that have signed things. They think they have to go create an account, and you don't have to. But they are more than welcome to create an account, and then they can access that account at any time. They can always view the documents that they've signed, but they don't have to create an account when you're sending them paperwork.
And then this is a good question. Linda Hughes said that she manually uploaded listing docs into command. When she gets an offer, can she move forward and use command for the rest of the process? Compliance, commissions, is all of that working today?
Yes, it's all working today, you guys. So this is completely up and running. Obviously, we're going to have a few glitches here and there, but for the most part, you guys, it is very accessible. It's working. I'm very familiar with it, so you can always reach out to me if you have questions or if you've got, you get it stuck on something. So yes, it's fully accessible at this time.
And that would be really helpful for us too, Linda, and anyone to help get our processes set. So really encourage you to try use it as much as you can. One more question on Facebook. Charlene Hammond said, if a contract gets renegotiated, how do you make those changes?
Say that again, Tia.
If a contract gets renegotiated, how do you make those changes on the contract?
Okay, so you're going to do all those changes through DocuSign. Okay, so command is only going to hold PDFs. It's only going to hold what you give to the office for compliance. Any edits or changes that are going to be made to documents, those are all going to be made through DocuSign. Okay, Tanisha Bowen, will DocuSign recognize one person for multiple opportunities, buyer, seller, investors? Yes, Tanisha. So once you add a contact to DocuSign, it lives there. So it's going to live in your list of people that are in your DocuSign contacts. So yes. Good question, though. Any other questions, you guys?
We're good on my end.
Okay. All right. That was a mouthful, but hopefully that was very beneficial, and hopefully you guys found some value in that. Again, we do not have a date on when we are going to make you guys use this. We don't like using that word, but we would love for you guys to plug in. Again, you're only going to help us get better, and we want to help you succeed. So if you're ready to start your next contract or listing in here, please let me know and I can help you. Again, this is being recorded, so if you had to jump off, you came in late, you'll be able to watch this on Facebook. Well, it's going to be on Facebook Live, and then this recording will live on our YouTube channel. So thank you for plugging in, and we will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.